Hello, my name's Robert Dean Steele. I want to share a little story from my own family that is such a powerful story. Now, I have a son whose name is Ryan. Now, when we moved to the community of Hay River, my son Ryan was just 13 years old. And we had some youth leaders in our church that were really influential in his life. We had, of course, our youth leader who was, very, very skilled in touching young people. And then we had a couple of young men. One was named Brad. Now, Brad had come to our church and also had come to work with another young fellow whose name was Kevin. And at the time, Kevin was the director of the Hay River Youth Center. And Kevin had and Brad were both very good musicians, and so they were able to strongly influence my son Ryan in the area of music. Brad invited Ryan to, of course, play the bass when it came to for the church orchestra that we had at the time. Now, Ryan had come to me and said, Dad, I'd like to have a bass. And so Ryan began to work with the bass. And when Brad heard that he played the bass, he said, Why don't you play the bass for us in our orchestra at the church? So Ryan started off doing that. And then as Ryan progressed as a musician, then of course he began to work with both Brad and also as well Kevin. These two young men mentored him in two areas. Number one, they mentored him in music because my son was definitely involved with music. And my son became a virtuoso when it came to especially the guitar. We started off with a, kind of a heavy metal guitar. And then as things progressed, we ended up buying him other guitars where many, many nights I would hear him playing in his bedroom different riffs and different things. And he would play for hours. And also as well, he would play they had an outreach that they used, and of course he was involved with that, and he was involved with as well the church orchestra. These two young men invested hours into my son, not only musically but also as well when it came to his spiritual development. They took him under their wing, as well as Glenn, who was of course our youth pastor at the time. And these three individuals really did have a strong influence on my son. Now, the interesting fact was my son was also working at the Super A in town, and these were things that I really appreciated about my son when it came to his stick-to-itness. When he first started working there, they weren't giving him an awful lot of hours. And I said, well, son, you can always go look for another job. He says, no, Dad, I believe that this job was given to me and I'm going to stick it out. Well, after 5 years, my son happened to be a assistant manager and a meat cutter. And so what happened was, of course, when we moved to the community of St. Albert, where I am currently in as a pastor, my son came with us. And this is the interesting part of the story. My son was scheduled to be in a meat cutting course in the city of Edmonton at a particular vocational college. And it was all set up, it was all ready to go. And then just as we arrived, he arrived about 2 weeks ahead of time before school was going to start, and he called the school and he said, I'm just, getting everything ready. They said, well, you're not registered. He says, what are you talking about? I got the note and everything. Well, your place was given to somebody else. And all of a sudden, my son didn't have he wasn't going to go to that vocational college to take meat cutting. So we scrambled and he ended up going to our local Bible college. And my son decided that because he had a propensity and a love towards music, he decided that he was going to do a combination of music and also pastoral ministry, and with the emphasis mostly on music. And of course, all those years of being able to be mentored by these three men just changed everything. Well, as time progressed, he became my youth pastor, and then he decided that he got married to a fine young lady, and they currently are living in the town of Killam. Now, my son is a very active ministry within that particular church and in that particular area. My son currently, is preaching quite often in that assembly. He leads music in that assembly. And how did that all happen? It happened because of the fact that these three individuals took my son under their wing. And my son is in that community in which he lives. He's valued and appreciated, and he's respected. Why? Because some individuals, took some time to mentor, to be role models, examples, to invest in his life. And now he's investing in lives of others. So please never forget the power of influence. And if you come across somebody that needs a little investment, don't be afraid to invest them. And it came to Brad and to Glenn and also to Kevin. They saw some potential in my son. And now he is an influence and also as well a blessing where he is. So Brad, Glenn, and also Kevin, thank you for the investment that you made into my son. Yes, I prayed for my son and I invested my son, but these extra people that God brought in, they made all the difference when it came to the redemptive gift and special destiny that my son has. And now I have the privilege, of course, of investing in my grandsons, Caleb and also little Lewis and his daughter, Mira. And it's interesting that Mira and Lewis are both interested in music, and they also, when they sing, they have perfect pitch, which is beautiful because they get that from their mom, Rebecca. And I tell you, when my son was looking for a wife, he only wanted a godly wife. Well, I'll tell you something, God gave him that. And again, it was all because of these people that invest in his life. So don't ever think that the investment that other people are making in your children's lives isn't a good thing. In my son's case, it was wonderful. And he's where he is because of these people. Thank you very much. And don't give up. God still has a plan for your life and for your family's life. God bless.